All set.
All right. Good evening, everyone. And this again is a virtual board meeting. And I have a statement I'd like to read to folks who may be streaming in on this. Tonight, this board is obligated to approve its 2020-2021 spending plan, which will be put before the voters on June 9th. Pursuant to the governor's executive order, that vote will be by absentee ballot. Registered district voters will be receiving ballots by the end of next week. Completed ballots will need to be received in the district office by 5 p.m. June 9th for your vote to be counted. On Thursday, May 28th at 6 p.m., specific details of the proposed budget will be live streamed to the community. Access to and details of this meeting and the proposed budget itself are available on our website at www.sandycreekcsd.org. And in addition, questions and comments on this plan may be expressed at budgetquestions@sccs.cnyric.org. The fact that we hold the lives and livelihood of community and staff in our hands has not been lost on any board member or your administration. We've worked tirelessly and literally to the 11th hour on this plan. We take very seriously our obligation to maintain a solid educational program for our students. In every email exchange between board members, our students have been at the core of our efforts. In some very difficult times, the fact that they are our future is not lost on any of us. Our virtual meetings have been anything but what we would have wanted. Each of us would have preferred to have been seated across the table from one another with our public present. We would have listened to public comment, taken the hard questions on, agreed to disagree amongst members, and looked to our administrative team for an interpretation of the financial impact and legality of our decisions. We have managed to do all those things, but in a very different environment. Each of your elected board members contributed to the final proposed budget and has brought to the table what you in the community have shared with them. Community input has been helpful, appreciated, and not lost through these unprecedented times. Through endless emails and many virtual meetings, your board has fought hard for what they believe in and what they understand their constituents to be asking of them. They have not wavered. We have agreed and we have disagreed. Developing the budget has led to many sleepless nights for all of us, board members and administration alike. We encourage all eligible district voters to return these ballots, which they will be receiving, by 5 p.m. on June 9th so that they can be tallied. And again, any questions or comments which you may have regarding this budget may be directed to budgetquestions@sccs.cnyric.org. And at this point, in formally opening the meeting, I would like to return and go through the Pledge of Allegiance with everyone. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And at this time, I would like to reiterate that this board has entertained a number of questions from our public, and I'm going to turn it over to Shelley and Kyle, who have some of those questions and answers. Shelley?
Yep. Okay. Here are some of the questions we have received. Every question asked, we have taken under careful consideration. Here's the first one. I question the use of our special education aides as one-to-one aides for children when it is not on a child's IEP. Can this be looked at? I went right straight to Kim Manfredi and Amy Malloy for the answer, and they said some of our students have support 100% of the school day per their IEP. But we have always made it a point to switch the staff that work with those students throughout the day so they do not become too dependent on just one specific adult. So technically, there are no one-to-one aides assigned just to one student. Now, on the other hand, we have 504 students, a student that may have the same staff member for support that has a medical condition. For instance, that staff member is only there to escort the student to the bathroom or the nurse, not for academic support. These types of cases are the ones that our lawyers have been advising us on for the last couple of years as they've come up.
Next question is, I was wondering why other staff on the payroll were not included in the position cuts, such as custodial staff, transportation, and non-instructional staff, including district office staffing. Custodial and transportation staffing are at a bare minimum. And in fact, we had openings that were vacant before COVID hit in both bus driving and custodial positions. Obviously, we are not filling any positions at this time, and will closely examine the staffing prior to hiring additional people in this and in any other area that a vacancy occurs. Once school is back in session, the custodial people are going to be responsible for not only performing their usual tasks, but also disinfecting according to a rigid program that we have yet to see. We have instituted our own program in the meantime. As for non-instructional staffing in district office, the proposed plan has the elimination of one teacher aide position, one technology assistant, and one secretarial position. The district office staff is complicated by rules of New York State. Many years ago, a public school district, Roslyn, had committed millions of dollars of fraud. In fact, there is a movie about it. It's called Bad Education. It was put out in 2019. Since this case, the state has instituted several regulations pertaining to segregation of duties. The district has even had special internal audits performed by auditors specifically trained to look for fraud and faulty process. During our audits, it was noted that our segregation of duties meets the minimum, but not excessively. Additionally, some positions are partially or almost fully aided. For example, the treasurer and one of the senior account clerks garner transportation aid. For those in the transportation industry, you know how meticulous your files and paperwork need to be. It is the district office that maintains those files that are audited every year. What we can do is, as we eliminate positions, combine some of the tasks and bring them to the district office, such as with the elimination of the district data coordinator, homeless liaison. Much of that work will now be the responsibility of the district office.
Okay, has consideration been made looking at reducing costs such as printing in the school? If the teaching staff was given a monthly, weekly printing quota, how much would the district save on not purchasing paper and ink? The technology director was working on a printing plan with OCM BOCES / the Regional Information Center prior to COVID hitting, and had to drop that to manage the digital learning platforms that we have now. As soon as this hurdle's over, it'll be picked back up again. And now that everyone is more digitally acquainted, it is a great time to use less paper and ink. So we will be getting into that next year.
Looking at the proposed position cuts, will the special education department remain in compliance for next year with one less special education teacher? Has there been communication with the director and chairperson regarding this? Yes, both Amy Malloy, the CSC director, and Kim Manfredi, the CSC chair, were part of the discussion, and we will continue to be in compliance. All of our CSC, all of our special education teachers are in compliance and under the number of students that they can have.
If there was a 4% tax increase instead of a 2% increase, wouldn't that save another position or two from being cut? A 2% increase is equivalent to around $136,000, most likely 2 positions or so. However, we had originally had 4% and lowered it to 2% because of the economy after COVID. The district has had a budget gap for a number of years and has used reserves to plug the hole. The reserves are being drained and will eventually run out. With state aid now significantly lowered and suggested to be lower by the governor, the district has to right size. Classrooms of 13 to 17 students are no longer fiscally sustainable.
Can you eliminate the middle school principal position? The high school principal can be in charge of 7 through 12 and elementary principal in charge of pre-K through 6. Can you also eliminate the dean of students role as it is not needed? The roles of the principals as well as the dean of students will change next year. First, the dean of students has no stipend attached to it, meaning that no additional monies are spent for this title. The dean of student will have added responsibilities this year as one of our physical education positions will be eliminated in the proposed budget. There was a great amount of discussion held on the necessity of all three principals. Some of the duties of the district data coordinator, homeless liaison will need the attention of the principals. District office staff will not have all of the necessary information on every student to fully perform these duties. Only the principals will have that information. The principals will have to devote a share of their time to handle these tasks. Together with the uncertainty of what the future holds for the coming fall, the district feels it will need all three principals this coming year. The district will reevaluate the need for three principals and the dean of students through the year and propose a plan or outline of duties for the future. We also need to mention that this is not a one-year thing. This is not a one-year crisis. This is a 2, 3, 4, 5-year crisis. This is the first step in what will be some very difficult decisions for the administration and the board to consider as we move forward. But please understand, we're taking this very seriously and we're trying to do ultimately what is best for students.
Okay, at this point, I'd like to go over the budget, how it changed since we last met. Let's see, I don't see that happening. Did it go to your screen?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Mine doesn't show it. All right, so as you recall, we had a deficit of 1.9 and we were going to use 798,000 of reserves, and then we'd have a tax levy of 136, the tax levy increase. That left us with a proposed deficit before use of fund balance of 987. Then we would use 150,000 of fund balance, and we had a remaining deficit of 837,874. From that number, we had a number of retirements that we aren't going to replace, and that's 430,222. New, we found out that we have a special education student coming that's going to need a one-on-one aid. So we took that person and added them back to the budget, but we also decided that we would take a 1.0 secretarial position away from the high school, middle school. So as you can see, that is clearly in red there, that has been the change. So what we used to have is 386,000 is now 401. And that supplies and materials reduction went from 21,000 down to 6,303. That clears the gap. And then that would make the budget that we're voting on $23,240,836. $23,240,836 in total. Okay, let me get out of here. I'm gonna return it now.
Okay, Shelley, all set?
Yep, can you see everyone now?
Yes, we're good.
Good.
Okay, thank you for that. And I want to reiterate one thing that Kyle had said and that we all know, and that is this crisis is not over. This is a phased approach. This is only phase one of recovering from what we're faced with. So we're moving in the right direction, but this is not the full shot. Moving ahead to the agenda. Here we go. All right. We are now moving ahead to item 4, which is an action item. And 4.1, this is the motion to establish the budget, approve of the budget, proposed budget. And I would take a motion that,
I'll move.
and that was Joe.
Yep.
Okay, Joe moves. I need a second on that.
I'll second.
And that was
Andrea.
Andrea seconding. And this, so it was moved by Joe Hathaway, seconded by Andrea Harris to approve the following resolution. Resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent to approve the instructional expenditure plan for 2020-2021 school year at a stated amount of $23,240,836. Shelley?
That's correct.
Okay. And at this point, motion and second, I would ask for a vote. Aye. Brian? Brian? Is Brian there?
Brian, can you give us a thumbs up or a thumbs down for yes? Yes, okay, I will take that as a yes.
Okay. Okay. So Brian votes yes. Hang on. Deanna?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Heidi?
Yes.
And Andrea?
Yes.
Okay. The resolution motion was hereby passed, and we'll move on to the second resolution for the evening, and this involves the appointment of the elections folks. And I take a motion to approve these inspectors.
I'll move.
Was that Deanna?
Yes.
Okay. Need a second?
I'll second.
And was that Heidi in there, I heard?
Yeah.
Okay. It was moved by Deanna Soul and seconded by Heidi Mitat to approve the following resolution. Resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent to approve the following clerks and inspectors for our vote. Debbie Martin, Judy Stuckey, Linda Krast, Sherry Glacier, Ross Graham, Fran Parker, Carla Brem, Heidi Goodenough, Lori Krebs, Vicki Stoker, Holly Kelly, and Mike Cambrari. And at this point, I would ask for a vote. Aye. Brian? We got a thumbs up from Brian?
Yep.
Okay. Deanna?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Heidi?
Yes.
And Andrea?
Yes.
Okay. And the resolution motion was hereby passed. And I believe this evening, Kyle, is there any need for executive session?
No, sir.
Do any of the board members have a need for executive session? Hearing none, we'll move on to adjourning the meeting.
Don,
And
I'd like to say something.
Yes,
If
Shelley.
if anyone in the community or that has a question regarding the budget,
Yes.
feel free. We have an email on our website. Copy and paste that with your question. It's budgetquestions@sccs.cnyric.org, and we will try to get back to you with an answer. Or you can always call the office and they'll get leave a number and I'll get a hold of you, whichever. Thank you.
Thank you, Shelley.
Thank you,
you,
Shelley. And if anyone does have any questions or wants to look at the budget more in detail, you can go to the Sandy Creek website, and you're guided there to that question and answer domain that Shelley just mentioned. So please do that if you have any questions, and we'll get an answer to you. All right. So moving ahead to adjournment, I would ask for a motion.
I'll
I'll
move.
move.
I heard Mark in there, I think, and I heard Heidi. Mark moves, Heidi seconds. Brian,
Okay.
Deanna,
Aye.
Mark,
Aye.
Joe,
Aye.
Heidi,
Aye.
and Andrea.
Aye.
Okay, that motion carries, and the meeting is now adjourned at this point. And I want to thank everybody for all their hard work. And I want to also say that this board has done some good work for the community. We've looked at every angle of this budget. And I think this is what we've come up with. We appreciate the support from the public. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Good night.
Thanks, guys.